So I think DC is an interesting place,
Right.
and I think a lot of people know about New York, right? And what New York is known for. We know notable figures, whether it's people who might just been in the streets or rappers, and they kind of have a gist of New York. Same with Chicago a bit.
Right.
DC is interesting because I think people have a limited scope of what even the street life in DC is, right? So like, even me, like when I think about DC, I'm like, I've known some hustlers supposedly was out there, but I don't know how that system worked. And we've heard about like some real like or people who was getting it in like Wayne
Wayne
Perry,
Perry.
right?
Yeah, yeah,
And we heard Alpo went out there,
yeah,
but you explained the dynamic that this guy who had got shot up, right?
yeah.
He was a guy who was around, look like he's getting money however he's getting it. How does DC usually work when you're a kid growing up, like having that close proximity to the street? Are there hustlers around? Are there drug dealers? Or is it just like a lot of violence?
Yeah, so first and foremost, DC is not a state. That's first of all. It's 50 states in the United States of America. DC is not one of them. We are the capital of the United States, but we're not a state. That's why all of our inmates, we don't have a state prison. They tore down our state prison in the early 90s. That was Lorden Prison. So any charge you catch in Washington, D.C. is automatically a federal charge. That's why all our inmates go to the feds. That's why you hear a lot of dudes say D.C. run the feds because we the deepest out any federal compound because we don't have a state prison. So any charge we catch, it's automatically a federal charge. So that's first and foremost. Second off, we don't have Bloods, Crips, Vice Lords, GDs, BDs, any other gang you could think of. We don't have none of that. We got street corners. If you grew up on East Street, you from East Street. You grew up on 3500, you on 35th Street, you from 3500. You from Trinidad, you from certain quarters, whatever hood, whatever your street sign say where you live at, that's what you represent.
And I don't mean to cut you off, but just for a little bit of clarity, because shit, like, Leaf, when was it? When we went to, I had to go get a passport. And the only place I could go, I had to go to DC to go get it, right? And I don't go to DC that much, but when I went to DC, I seen monuments, at least wherever the map took me, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, how, like, when people think about the capital of the United States, what you're talking about is a place that also has a bunch of hoods and, you know what I mean? Like, how does both coexist? Because people think about, a lot of times when they think about DC, it's like, oh, you could see
The president.
yeah.
That's the first thing they think of.
How does it even become a place where you have these inner city neighborhoods where people are, either committing crime or maybe feel like, we got to sell drugs to get by? Like, how does that happen?
Man, look, whether you believe it or not, right? My mother moved to DC in 94, right? When you look back, first of all, the White House is, if I walked to my hood from the White House, I could get to my hood walking in maybe 30, 45 minutes.
Really?
If I drove from the White House to my hood, I could get to my hood in 10 minutes from the White House. So that's how far the White House is from the trenches. You know what I'm saying? I never grew up admirizing the I don't even know if that was the right word, but admirizing the Redskins or the Washington Wizards. In DC, like you admirize the hustlers on the corner. You know what I'm saying? Go-go, the genre music of go-go ran the city back then. So if you was a get money nigga, you got some money and got fly and went to the go-go on the weekend. Maybe they might have had a celebrity artist there, once in a very while. But go-go ran the town. And the streets really run DC. But I will say this, we got the most different polices in our city than any city in America. We got MPD, which is regular DC. We got United States Police. We got the FBI. We got Capitol Police. We got Park Police. Because we the capital of the United States, we got so many different kind of polices in our city.
So you would think it's the safest place then?
You would think it's a super safe place, but just do your research. As my homie Reese would say, do your research. You know what I'm saying? It's one of the most violent cities in America.
Yeah. That's so interesting because that's one of the places, and I remember, through all the stories I was covering, I was like, I kept hearing that people were going to DC and it would be some people from some places that super official, but like when they go to DC, they bump into a whole nother,
Yeah.
and I'm like, that's kind of interesting. So you growing up, you see your, because I want to take you off that story. So you see your first dead body at fucking second grade.
However we is in second grade. I remember my teacher was Miss Eshdale. I was in the second grade when I saw my first dead body for sure.
Okay. How does that, and now you're realizing the environment you're in. What kind of happens then? Did you grow up in, living in a comfortable, household, nice neighborhood? What was it?
Nah, I grew up in the Pinnacles, man. You know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, you know how you could type in an address on your GPS and now the GPS will show you a visual of that neighborhood. Like, if you're going to see a broad, you type the address in, it'll show you a sky view. You could look around the neighborhood and see what kind of, you know what I'm saying? I tell people all the time, Google my hood, 1513 Benning Road, Northeast Washington, D.C. That's where I grew up at. That's the bricks. That's the Pinnacles. That's the trenches. You know what I'm saying? And that's what molded me to be the man I am today. Everything that I saw, everything I witnessed and I went through, you know what I'm saying, is D.C. for sure.
When you were growing up, did you think that you were growing up in the trenches, or you were just like, oh, this is kind of normal, like how everybody's living?
Nah. Okay, so I saw my first dead body. Boom, I'm in the second grade. I don't think nothing of it. Like, wow, like maybe dude got killed. Okay, boom, I know he got killed. I see the bullet holes in him. I don't think nothing of it, right? But
that's crazy that you got to process death at the second grade.
Right, yeah. Murder, not death, murder. Because people die all the time. Murder is when somebody intentionally kills somebody. You know what I'm saying? So I'm seeing that at a young age, number one. Number two, I remember my mother had a boyfriend. His name was Monroe. He was real good at football. Fly dude, one of the flyest dudes in the neighborhood. And Monroe was a good dude, well-mannered, dressed well. You know what I'm saying? Had manners, real respectful. Yes, ma'am, how you doing today? Good morning, miss. How you doing, sir? Excuse me, sir. You know what I'm saying? We idolize dudes like that because real gangsters have manners. And Monroe got killed. You know what I'm saying? And when I seen how hurt my mother was, but two, the community was in an uproar. Like, man, somebody killed Monroe. Like, man, what's up? You know what I'm saying? Like, man, we got to go see about that. It was like, okay, now we in a city where anybody could get it because the Jamaican dude was a good dude too. Community loved him. Monroe, good nigga. Community loved him. OG Terry, I remember when Terry first got killed. Everybody loved Terry. Great smile, white teeth, funny dude. The neighborhood loved him, but he was getting killed. So I seen a lot of dudes getting killed, you know what I'm saying? And then, of course, not to fast forward so much, but like when I turned 15, my first friend, neighborhood friend, got killed from some beef that we had as teenagers. And that's just a testament to how early and how often war is in Washington, D.C. War is, unfortunately, one of the main things that's on the average Washingtonian's mind when he wake up.
Now, we don't have to get specific into either that or really even anything, but like, where would beef kind of rise from? Is it,
you want me to be honest?
Yeah.
Majority of the time,
you guys are not in gangs, right?
You want me to be honest? Majority of the time, whether niggas want to keep it real or not, bitches.
Really?
It really stemmed from bitches. You know what I'm saying? But it's also like, you know what I'm saying? Okay, look, take my hood for example, right? Now I told you, go-go kind of ran our area for a minute. Back in the day, it wasn't cool to rap or sing. It wasn't cool to be a rapper if you was from DC. It was cool to be in a go-go band. If you wasn't in a go-go band, you was kind of sort of considered a lame. You feel me? If you wasn't straight hustling and getting money. So when you go see these go-go bands, right? Like my hood, I'm from East Street. They call us the East Street Bangers. So when we go see a go-go band, we in there 30, 40 deep. The go-go band yelling out.
But it's not a gang.
Nah, it's not a gang, but this is our neighborhood. We from East Street.
Yeah, okay.
So we call ourselves the East Street Bangers. You know what I'm saying? For example, these dudes, they from 17th Street, but in the go-go, they call their hood 17th and Compton. Southwest, you had a hood called 106 and Park. Before I even heard of 106 and Park, the real show,
really?
We had a hood in DC called 106 and Park. So you know, people play around with their street names and you know what I'm saying, 21st in Vietnam, 17th in Compton. You know what I'm saying?
Which, by the way, if you think about, just how I think humans are bred, is like you're going to, organized, or you're going to be hanging with people in your proximity, especially if you have the same interests, you're from the same place.
Absolutely.
I get that.
Yeah,
Cool.
and then you get out of school, it's natural that y'all gonna play basketball together, play tag, play throwback football together. You're gonna do that with each other. So y'all eventually become a group of friends who come from where? East Street. So y'all the East Street bangers. You know what I'm saying? And you gotta rep that. When you go to school, you gotta rep that. They go to East Street boys. They go to Southeast boys. They go to Search and Quarter boys. They go to 10th Street boys. You know what I'm saying?
How were you in school? Did you ever run into issues where people were, either trying to pick on you, or how was that dynamic? Because now you're witnessing a lot, and you're realizing, obviously, you see, I'm trying to put myself in your shoes, but
absolutely,
I'll be fucked up at second grade to see some shit you did, right?
Yeah.
So now you experiencing that, are you kind of getting that little bit of a hardened exterior, a little bit like, yo, okay, I see how shit is. I got to just make sure I'm not that person that's there, respectfully.
Yeah, for sure. See, me personally, I grew up a little bit different because I had these bright green hazel eyes in my face. You feel me? So a lot of people used to look at me, oh, that's a little pretty eye boy right there, man. And the bitches was on a nigga, so niggas used to be like, man,
those were contacts?
Nah, man, these my real eyes, man. I was born with these eyes, man. Fuck, I look like walking around with contacts, man.
I always said, listen.
Nah, these my real eyes, man.
The eyes of a man tells a lot of stories.
Of course.
You could see a lot of pain sometimes. You could see war stories, and sometimes you could even see trauma.
Of course.
And I never met you from a can of pain, but every time I looked at you, I said, this guy's seen some shit.
Absolutely.
Seen some shit.
Absolutely.
And from what he's seen, I know he's in this for survival.
Absolutely.
I don't know if he killed somebody, but I know he probably would if he needed to.
This nigga
That's
crazy, man.
That's what I said.
Academics is crazy, man.
I'm being honest.
Yeah, I feel you.
But yeah, okay, all right. So you're in school, and
I kind of got a lot of hate because my eyes was a different color. Like, you didn't see too many dark-skinned dudes with my type of eyes. So, of course, dudes would try to pick on me about that shit. And then I always kept a girlfriend. You know what I'm saying? So,
yeah, bitches be loving the eye shit, man.
Yeah, of course, man. I always kept a girlfriend, so niggas would hate on that naturally. I did have to fight a lot in school. I did have to fight a lot after school. I also had my mother had 3 boys. I'm the youngest of us.
Was your father around?
Nah, my father wasn't around.
So
my mother used to send me to spend time with my father on certain summers, but once she found out that my father wasn't really watching me and that I was with one of his girlfriends or with my grandmother, she'd come back and pick me up. And then after a while, she just stopped sending me to him.
So when you had an issue, because you say you had other brothers, right? You were the youngest?
Mm-hmm.
Would you kind of go to them like, yo, I have an issue here, or would they just be like, hey, listen, you got to be a man and kind of like...
Yeah, I never went to get my brothers because that was the stigma. Like, in my grade, yeah, what you gonna do? You ain't gonna do nothing but go get your brother. That's the first thing they gonna say. Man, you a bitch, go get your brother. So I had to fight niggas without even going to go tell my brother what was up. So, you know what I'm saying? Sometimes at the end of the school, he might come pick me up and be like, man, what happened to your lip? Who you fight? Who you fight today? You know what I'm saying? Because I ain't want to tell him what was going on because you was a sucker if you went and got your brother. You know what I'm saying? So a lot of my battles I had to fight. You know what I'm saying? I just had to fight one-on-one.
That's interesting. Yeah. Okay, so you're going through school. You had mentioned 15. What happened at 15?
On 15, my friend Scooby, which is why one of my first face tattoos, I got a W with angel wings and an S with angel wings under my face. I keep forgetting which side it's on. But in 2005, my friend Scooby got killed by a rival gang that we was beefing with at that time, rival neighborhood we was beefing with at that time. And so that was my first time where I witnessed like, oh, one of us could die. You feel me? Like, because that was the first death in our hood and our generation where, all right, now we die now. You know what I'm saying? So that was one of them.
How that made you feel?
It just made me be aware. It made me be more on my toes. And I definitely felt like that I was a grown man now, that I needed my own pistol, and that, it's up. Like, once they killed Scooby, our whole hood was in an uproar. So that transpired into a whole big something else within itself.